So we're just going to talk about wedging. Some people have been asking me questions about it since watching some clips on what other people think would happen or will not happen. You know, I'm not here to be arrogant and say what I'm doing is the best or it's going to always work. What we do is trial and test it, so we're giving you advice or experience from my guys, like I said, Ben's one of our fighters, from our fighters that have actually used the stuff in MMA. Obviously, everybody can say that hundreds of street fights and stuff, and that's all kind of irrelevant. You know, the level of the opponent is the difference, right? In a street fight, it could be some, drunk. That doesn't really class as taking on a skilled opponent. If you're taking on a skilled opponent, you're taking on somebody who knows what you're doing or has an idea what you're doing and is trying to stop you. Someone on the street is not necessarily skilled. I mean, if you're lucky, maybe they are, but all these things are pie in the sky, right? At the end of the day, I think it's better to be trained against skilled people and use skills and use them in real time, and in that way you have more chance of defending yourself in the street. I'm more of a street self-defense person myself. I mean, I got involved in sport martial arts because my guys, want to test themselves, want to push themselves, want to test the system, and that's been a big improvement for us, for them testing the system. We've had literally, probably over 300 or 400 fights in the last 12 years, and my guys have won a lot of belts, a lot of titles, a lot of success. But even that's all pie in the sky. To me, it's no big difference. We do it for ourselves. We don't do it to prove ourselves to anybody. We prove it for our own system, for what we like to do. It's how we like to spend our time. Okay? But whenever we do something, we always want to try and do it with reality. So when you do a demo, as such, obviously you have to slow it down to show it, right? But the demo has to work in real time. And what I mean by that is, if I'm doing a demonstration of something, and Ben's going to throw a punch, and I'm going to block the punch in slow motion, that's fine, but then you need to then show it with speed and with motion, and then you need to show the kind of situation under a bit of pressure. Otherwise, really it's just an idea, and anything could work. Like I say, Ben punches me in slow motion. As he punches me, I walk over here and hit him on the back of the head, right? Because it's slow motion. But when you speed up, that's never going to work, right? Okay, so a lot of theories that people present, sometimes they work because they're slow. They work because the guy doing it is doing it kind of slow. It's like often you see grappling situations where people say, if the guy shoots, I'm going to do this. But the guy shooting doesn't know grappling. So, when I watch it, I mean, I'm obviously a black belt jiu-jitsu and I do a lot of wrestling. I know that doesn't work because I've wrestled with a lot of guys and I know that's going to put you down. So it doesn't make any sense. And then when I say to people, that's not going to work, people think, oh, he thinks he knows it all. Well, it's not that I know it all, it's just I've been put down enough to know that that's not going to work, right? Okay, so trust people's experience to a certain degree, and trust what they show you if they can show that it works, right? So in terms of wedging, it's an unusual situation because it's kind of a contrived situation in some ways as well. Because if you're doing something in slow motion, I have the chance to wedge you and control you. And wedging as such is you're just doing a static structure, right? What we do isn't a static structure anyway. Structure is very dynamic. In terms of force flow, which we've been talking about all lately, force flow is more of the intricate format of how you're going to use your dynamic structure, right? So there's nothing static. Static is really something you teach beginners, or static is something you show as a positional structure, but there's no such thing as a positional structure that stays still, right? So even to get into wedging situations is kind of a weird thing, because if I know I'm going to be in a fight, I'm not going to stand that close to him anyhow. I'm going to have some distance control. And if he starts to strike towards me, I'm not going to wedge him because that punch is not going to be that slow. Okay? If he punches that slow, I won't need to wedge him, right? It wouldn't be necessary. Ben's going to throw a fast punch, right? So I'm not even going to be able to catch that punch to wedge him, right? So what I need to do is control the line of that punch. When the punch comes in, if you throw fast, we don't throw slow. I need to throw a fast punch. I need to control the line of attack, right? Then I can choose to open the punch up. I can choose to control the line of attack to hit, right? But then he let the punch stay still for me there, right? Which he's not going to do. Punch fast, right? Boom. So even when I throw, it becomes a jab for a jab, right? So here, you're more likely, if he jabs at you fast, is to try to beat him with his jab and cover that hand and control that hand, right? A wedging situation usually comes when you clinch up, when you get into a clinch position, right? So for that to happen, you need to have to bridge in, get in. So we might be out here sparring, and we're trying to get in, we're trying to find in, we're trying to punch in, and then you get into a position where you're in a semi-clinch position, right? Now if he drives forward, then I can wedge that position, okay? But that would be a static structure, and that's no good, because when I use that static structure, even if my vector is correct, if my body position is correct, if I hold for too long, he can read my center of gravity, then redirect my pressure, right? So as soon as I take that pressure, I need to redirect him straight away and change his line of attack and change his position, right? So people talk about dissolving force or not using force in Wing Chun and redirecting people. I agree with all that. You do redirect people. But walking around someone isn't redirecting somebody, right? So if you get into a position and you try to walk around them and say you're redirecting them, you're not redirecting them because that person can move, right? You can only redirect somebody when you take pressure and release the pressure and guide them out, right? And then I can redirect them to a position. So I still have to control my center of mass. I still have to control my structure, and my structure has to be very dynamic, right? And the force flow, how I return my structure and how I integrate his pressure with my pressure is really where the layers of skill are, right? So if Ben's going to strike towards me, from a street point of view, maybe I don't know he's going to hit me and we're close, and this is why people talk about wedging. He brings his hands up and I'm going to come forward and hit, okay? Yeah, it's possible, that can happen, right? But if my hands are down, or my hands are up and he strikes to me, I'm just going to strike him and I'm going to move and strike anyway. There's not going to be a wedge as such, I'm going to just attack. I'm going to keep flowing, okay? For that situation is kind of basic, right? You don't need much understanding. If someone throws a punch, you can intercept and hit them, right? Okay? And also it's kind of like contrived. We made it up, we just said it's going to happen. I've had a lot of situations, in most situations, a person who wants to attack you is not really going to come close enough that you can attack them at the same time. If they're clever, they're going to come too close to you, right? So they're going to push you back and hit you. Or if they're clever, they're going to keep away from you and sucker punch you, right? By pretending not to do something, then also going to hit you. Not many people are going to come up to you like this, and then go like this to hit you, right? So then you can then attack them, right? Okay? So if Ben flinches at me to open his hands up, and I wedge in to hit him here, that's not really going to happen as much, right? And for us, that's not really kind of where the training's at, right? So if we put gloves on, also, someone's asked me about why I wear these bigger gloves, the 16-ounce ones rather than the 14-ounce ones. I wear them so I don't hurt people so much, because I tend to hit quite hard, right? So my guys call me bigger gloves, right? Also, I'm protecting my hands, because at the end of the day, we spar a lot. And the idea of sparring is actually to learn skill, not just to hurt each other or hit each other hard. It's about learning skill. So the idea of bigger gloves is really just for safety, right? But we can wear smaller gloves as well. Some people maybe think maybe I struggle to wear small gloves, but I think every person's going to dislike me wearing smaller gloves. It's probably better. So I'll probably move from here. Ben's going to attack, I'm going to attack. We're just going to flow back a little bit of sparring. Okay, just to sort of show how we would deal with pressure coming at us, right? Because sometimes we're going to have to clinch up, we might have to control each other, we might have to hold position. So you have that kind of wedging kind of idea, but the idea when you get that position, you're not static. You have to move and control. And you have to ebb and flow. You have to use your body structure. You have to use your body power to control the position. If you stand static, you're going to get thrown around. So, an example, if I was in a position where we clinched up, if Ben was static, I can just throw him around very easily, right? If he's stiff. If I try to throw him around and he relaxes and loosens up, I can't control him, right? So there is no wedge. You can just punch him from here, right? So as soon as I try to wedge him, he releases, he's going to hit you from here, right? So you've got to be more dynamic than that, right? Okay? So you can spar in different ranges. So we start out from a medium range. We're here. Alright, good. So what you can see is when you're sparring, it's all about that subtle control distance. So if I'm here, because you spar, you learn about the range. So Ben can strike towards me. I can just move a little bit and he misses. Because if he extends even more to try and catch me, I'm going to nail him. Okay? So he knows that's missed. He knows that I can follow that punch back again, come back in again, so he's going to cover to follow that punch and control that punch. So every time he punches, I'm looking to control the attack. So here, pack that hand, I'm packing him. Okay, I can intercept. I can follow the punch back, whoop, and intercept and cut the punch. Okay? If I'm punching Ben, and he defends, he's going to turn his body weight to make sure his body weight's on there. Right? Or I'm going to lean away. If he leans away, then I'm knocking my balance, okay? I don't want to knock him off balance. Well, I want to knock him off balance. He doesn't want me to knock him off balance. Then I can put him into a kick. I can knock him into other punches, right? He wants to load his weight and then return the fire, right? So here, you cover with your jump, sink your body, right? And then you can return the fire. So here, boom, right? So because we have that level of understanding of distance and timing, it's very hard to wedge up and do nothing. It doesn't make sense. If you get to a position where you get to a clinch position of a Chisao range, right, then you're going to control and hit. And you're going to use your Chisao skill of bridging control, and hit and control. Right? I want to make sure I keep him off balance, I'm loading my weight. He pushes towards me, I sink. So I can use my force fire, I can return the structure, take him off balance and control. Okay? It's very dynamic. Right? Wedging is static structure. Static structure is the lowest level of structural control, right? You have static structure, dynamic structure. Dynamic structure will then feed into force flow skills, okay, which is a high level skill. So you can see when we're sparring here, now and again, when we get here, if someone gets body pressure on me, I sink and control, I can issue them out, okay? Some people think that I lean on people, right? This is leaning, right? If I lean, I'm going to fall over. I don't lean on people. I use my center of gravity for pressure, right? Load weight sometimes on people. But I load weight, and when I load weight, he releases the weight, I release the weight. That's your force flow. It's how dynamic it is. It's not one thing, right? One thing would be simplistic. There's nothing simplistic, right? And also, if he pushes towards me, I don't lean, I sink my body, right? I store my pressure, and then I can release the pressure, right? Or he leans on me, I can sink and I can redirect, right? So there's a lot of things that go on. It's not as simple as people think. There's a lot of elements to it. So that just gives you a little bit of insight to some of the things we're doing. If you're on my mentor program, you're going to learn all these types of things. Right? So I suggest you go to my website, have a look at that program. It's going to release in January. Even at the moment you can sign up to the free member section, which has a lot of free clips and has lots of sparring clips that we haven't shown before in there. Right? So have a look at that. And on the program that we're going to release, we're going to be talking about all the different types of structure. Right? We're going to show you how structure works at all different levels. Okay? And then we're going to show the forms, right? And the forms, how the forms layer the structure, because the forms really are the blueprint of how the structure develops to get the layers, right? So it's not as simple as people think. Applications change, the applications just come and go. The real skill is understanding the body mechanics, right? And the body skills. So I hope that clip helps you.